Me. Old joke, sorry. Hey folks, welcome to yet another episode of Talking With Tux. Today my guest is the esteemed... You know we need a nickname for you.
I thought you called me the technician.
Well, I did. I thought... So you want to be known forever and ever. Okay. I am like, the Lizard King.
Look out, he's got a knife, and then you turn to the camera, I have a knife.
Hey folks, welcome to yet another episode of Talking with Tux. Today my guest is the esteemed technician, the brains behind the show. Welcome.
Hey.
And today our discussion is going to be anime through the ages. So to start things off, I have no idea how to start things off.
No, that's okay. I believe I watch enough anime that I can say, I know a little bit. I'm not an expert, but I can say, hey, I know that I've seen through the ages, which is with the theme.
Right. So how in your opinion did anime start off? Is it the definitive 50s or 70s or so forth? Where do you think anime really started per se?
For me, I'd say right around when My Neighbor Totoro came out. Whatever year that was. Do you have any idea?
I think that was 86 or 87.
It's that's the first one I really got into. Good movie. It's still good to this day. I think that lasts, through time.
So for you, is that the defining experience of anime? I mean, a lot of people might argue, for example, the first real anime, like Astro Boy, or even later in the line, Speed Racer in the 70s. For me, I can't really say for me that there's a defining anime. I mean, if it were me, I'd go back on the old, Dragon Ball or Rurouni Kenshin or, what else is there? Every hentai I ever saw.
There's stuff on Toonami, Tenchi Muyo.
Oh, yeah. Oh, one of the things sorry to cut you off, but, Big O, that was that was one of the greats for me. Still up to this day, I thought it was false advertisement because, I watched a preview on Toonami and they pretty much said it was Batman. It's wait, this is Batman? Wait, this ain't Batman. This is Batman with giant robots. Wait, this ain't Batman. So it took me a minute to realize, oh, this isn't Batman. This is kind of like Batman.
Honestly, I haven't watched much of Big O. I remember seeing it on TV, but I don't actually remember what happened. I believe there was a giant robot, and forgive me for my ignorance, but what was it about?
Basically, the whole world had lost their memories, and people people recovered them from so often, and I think it would be a danger, and there would be other giant robots. But basically, the main premise was the world itself had lost their memories, and the giant robots were somehow tied to it. I haven't seen the show in years, and I want that on DVD. I hope I get it soon for whichever holiday is coming up next. But basically, the whole world lost its memories, and there's giant robot battles. I'm not doing honor to this show. I'm sorry. I wouldn't say that was defining for me, but I didn't even know what anime was back in the 90s, man. It's is like any other show, just dramatic and a little bit more boobs.
Yeah, for me, I would watch things like Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, and even further back, I would watch, Speed Racer, you said, that was before I knew what anime was, and I was oh, these are some really good cartoons, and then later on I found out they were actually, Japanese made, stuff.
And furthermore, when I learned what anime was, I learned what dubs were and how horrible they can be. And it's like, oh my god, this actually comes in Japanese, and wow, the dialogue is much more. Uh, how should we say mature in a sense. And I realized they cut out a lot of the good stuff on the TVs. Like they showed boobs and people getting nailed and some people getting their heads cut open and cut off. It's just fantastic. It's like, whoa, this stuff rocks. And then I later learned they had a story, an actual legit story. It's like, wow, this is some good stuff. Back to the defining thing. I think for me, it was either Cowboy Bebop or Outlaw Star, or maybe a mix of both. Those are two of my favorites to this day. And I especially love the Hot Spring episode of Outlaw Star. Go check it out. Seriously, it's worth it just for that episode.
I liked Cowboy Bebop, and speaking of which, I liked its dub a lot. Like, I can't, watch that in Japanese. Like, there's some things I'd say were actually pretty good. Like, back in the day, dubs were actually pretty good, at least in my opinion. And it's only, in recent times that, they've kind of, gotten steadily worse. It's gotten, before, I would watch almost nothing but dubs. Now, 2015, I can't stand, 99% of them. The only time I can stand it is if, it's someone I kind of recognize from, way back in the past that I haven't heard from, the cast of Digimon. There was a lot of them. I don't know if it was all of them, but a lot of them were actually on, Rosen Maiden, that dub. And I appreciated that. Okay.
Sorry, folks, we experienced some technical difficulties. 12 drunken monkeys crashed through the windows and tried to assassinate us. But luckily, I used the Shoryuken technique and, defeated them all in one fell swoop. Also, I saved the world from zombie Hitler. Just putting that out there.
Alright, so where we last left off, I was talking about how back in the day, I feel like there was more effort in dubs that were made. And now, I feel like there isn't that much effort going into it. I know that they work really hard on it. It's not easy to dub an anime. I can only imagine how much time and effort goes into that. I just feel that it takes a little bit more to make, quality stuff. I mean, what do you think?
I don't know, arguably so, because depending on who you ask, I mean, a majority of the people you're going to ask about this, they're going to say dubs in the 90s absolutely sucked. And they can say the same, that they've been using the same recycled voices over and over. I mean, it's prevalent in each anime you watch. I mean, for instance, let's say Rurouni Kenshin, first few episodes in the season, one of the main bad guys was also voiced by the guy who did Jet in Cowboy Bebop. So as can be said, each anime voice is recycled at some point or another. Personally, my opinion on dubs is I don't like it myself. I mean, it does in a pinch. Some are done well. Granted, some are done well. But those are the exception rather than the rule. And nowadays, I haven't seen a good dub, recently. So I can't really say on nowadays. But just generally speaking, dubs overall, you're right, it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of effort, and these people are pouring their heart and soul into it, but sometimes it just sounds so cheesy and terrible and bad that you can't help but laugh at it and want to watch the English version. I mean, I think it's some sort of conspiracy. You have to make this sound bad. You have to make this sound bad. For whatever you do, make it sound terrible and goofy and everything. That's just my personal opinion, but there are good dubs. I mean, Footy Cootie for one. That's probably one of the best dubs I've ever heard. Cowboy Bebop a close second, you know. Because I can watch both in English and Japanese. I prefer English, don't get me wrong, because that's what I started with, but still. Good dub. Good dub.
I feel like well, your stomach's growling. I feel
I'm
like
hungry.
all right. Some of the old dubs, like they're definitely incredibly cheesy. Like Sailor Moon, that was like that. I don't even know like how to explain like what
Grandpa,
they
you're being a granola bar.
But yeah, like there was that, and also the same thing can be said of like Digimon, like
And Cardcaptor Sakura.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about what they did to that series.
Yeah, they horribly butchered and murdered that show. If you have a choice, please see it in Japanese.
Yes.
Don't watch it. I mean, trust me. Just watch it in Japanese. Don't buy the English versions, for God's sakes. You do yourself a favor.
Oh yeah, Digimon.
Pokemon.
Pokemon too. Like they like do everything in their power to make it like super bad and cheesy, and for some reason it was like really appealing. Like when we were younger, for some reason, because like it was the funniest thing in the world. And like when you watch it as an adult, you're thinking that's really stupid, but I still kind of liked it because I watched it when I was a kid.
And you remember the episode of Pokemon where they had a couple guns in there, and I was like, wait, they got away with guns? Oh wait, those are the banned episodes. We saw them only once, and we never saw them again.
Yeah. So I think in some situations, like, sometimes you want to see it being bad because it's amusing.
Yeah, it's like a B movie. It's like, you know it's bad, but hey, it's great the fact that it's bad. Like Street Fighter. I love Street Fighter, the movie, the one that came out in the 90s. I know it's like so horrifically bad, but it's just one of those movies that you love to hate or hate to love. I mean, I love that movie. It's awesome. I'm sorry. Please don't knock down my door and come with the pitchforks and torches, you know.
Another thing about anime through the ages is back in the day, you would have things like 50 episode, like 100 episode, 300 episode things, and now those are kind of like very limited. Like you still have Detective Conan. You still have One Piece.
How are those still going on? Like, there's only so many ways to kill a guy, and only so far you can go in the world without finding the Grand Line.
Yeah. And I think Bleach ended.
I think it did. I just never got into that series. Another thing about Detective Conan is, like, it's a great show. I like it. I've actually seen some of the subtitled shows on Japanese TV. It's great, but it's always been their same recycled formula. Part 1, some dude dies. Part 2, we figured out it was that guy you least suspected, or most suspected. And Conan, basically drugs someone, or has them play the role. He'll talk and someone will lip sync for him. So it's like only so many ways you can go through that without. How's that show have like 500 episodes? But I digress. As for the, back in the day, them having 50 to 100 and 300 and so on episodes, I'm kind of half and half on it. I mean, if you give me a good story and make it short, I will forever be grateful. I will always want more, granted, but great storytelling always wants you leaving more. But if you tell me a good story, beginning, middle, end, and you cut it short and sweet, it's kind of, I can deal with this. It's a great story. I hope they continue it. If not, solid end, There's no real reason unless it's like highly popular and you keep bringing some sort of innovation to the anime. There's no real reason to make it 100, 300 episodes, unless it's a long-standing series. But it's got to be really good. It's got to keep bringing something new to the table. Otherwise there's no real point aside from milking a cash cow.
Like for me, I feel like the sweet spot is like 26 episodes.
Per season or just altogether?
Altogether or per season, but like, for me, I like 26 episodes or somewhere around then. Like, with recent times, we've seen like 12 episode animes, like 13.
Footy Cootie was like 4 episodes, no?
Yeah, and like, I wish it was longer, really.
Great show, though.
It was. It was excellent. But I feel like there's so many extra short like ones that they're just like popping them out, like they're not really trying to dig deeper into the story, that they're just like, we need to make money, we need to, get this out there and then work on the next one.
Well, at the end of the day, that's kind of what it's all about. It's like, it's not whether a story is good or bad or being mistreated or such. It's just about how can I get the consumers to buy this, Let me make it flashy. Let me put in like 20% more boobs or lesbians, make it appealing. And, it's about getting paid at the end of the day. Like, it's the circle of life. Like, even though it's economically in Japan, it's also the same in America. Like, we buy anime and their proceeds go to the animators in Japan. They make their paycheck on that. Even as an employee of a store, it's like, I know that what I'm selling more or less comes back to me, I may not be making a commission per se, but, this bag of food I'm going to sell, it's basically going to cycle into my paycheck. It goes to the store's rent. It goes to, the store paying me and having me not quit in a hissy fit, So it's just a kind of vicious circle, Granted, there are a lot of good ones out there, but yeah, there are going to be a lot of bad ones too. But, it's not that it's bad purposely. It's just like, hey, I need money, got to feed the wife and kids.
Well, I don't know. I just feel like it's changed throughout time. Like, more effort was put into it back in the day. Like, even with the bad dubs and stuff, like, they still put effort into it. And now, like, we see less and less of that. Like, whenever I see, like, a new anime series coming out and they tell me it's more than 20 episodes, I get, like, elated. And I'm like, yes! Yes, it's going to be more than 20 episodes. Because I feel like they're actually going to take the time to, like, develop the characters and develop the story and, do it justice, and to not just, like, rush through it. Like, one good example, Inuyasha, the final act. Like, first few seasons of Inuyasha, in my opinion, were actually pretty decent. They took the time to go through each arc, and it took a while. And they built up the relationships and the characters, and people are asking, for the anime to actually finish. And then when they do finish it, they're like, let's just cram like 3 or 4 arcs into one episode so that we can end this in like 12 episodes and done. Okay, moving on. It's like, you couldn't have, stretched it out a little bit, I'm not asking for too much, I don't think. I just want, them to tell the story correctly and to not, like, make your head spin by how fast things are going.
Again, in my opinion, it's arguably so. One can argue the fact that, hey, they're putting effort in today, or they're not putting effort in the days of yesteryear, It's all about the right property, And, a lot of times we're going to get shorted, no matter what we go through, like anime series in general. Like, the best, most definitive experience would probably to go through the manga, But seriously, if you're looking for anime, sometimes you're going to get the short end of the stick, More often times than not, that's what they have to do, because, it's not so much fan demand, it's just like, hey, how can I make a buck off this? Like I said, And even so, back in the day, I don't know. It doesn't seem, in some cases, that a lot of effort was put into, like, an anime. Again, Cardcaptor Sakura. They had to make it kid-friendly, and,
Yeah.
I know, it's okay, hang in there. It's a part of the show, though, Yeah. It's part of life, and it's part of this discussion of anime through the ages. No matter what, you're going to get shorted. Hey, this stuff is hot in Japan right now. How can I port it to the American shores, and how can I make an obscene amount of money off of it? I know we'll make it kid-friendly, we'll make the teddy bear talk and fly, and, hey, let's put in, like, some dueling card actions, and voila, we got ourselves a masterpiece. And it's great if you're 5. We all have that one guilty pleasure, that one sucky anime that we don't want to admit that we love, but we love because it appealed to our 5-year-old side, or when we were literally 5, You have one, I have one, the whole world has one.
Sailor Moon!
There we go. So like I said, it's not about it being mistreated. It's just about money, you know. How can you buy into this? Like Pokemon, like, that thing's a freaking beast, man. Like, since its inception in 96, like, people have gone wild, and now there's 600 of them, and Lord knows they're probably going to make 100 more just for grins and giggles, like...
Well, they're going along with the games. As long as there's games, there's going to be an anime.
Yeah, but I'm saying, you know, there's 600 of the little critters right now, and there's Mega Evolutions up the wazoo, so... Which I can't wait to get my hands on. I'm training my team right now and transferring them to Alpha Sapphire. But anyway, yeah, it's just all about the money juggernaut, because money makes the world go round. I wish we could go back to the times of the barter system. I think that would work. I think that would save the economy. You know, instead of paying for something, you just trade a service or something else for it. I mean, in a small click, I think it could work. I think it could work, but I digress, you know. I'm just saying it would be cool if I traded like a candy bar for a manga or something, or, you know. I think if we did it right, the barter system could be a huge success and bail us out of economic debt.
I don't think a candy bar is worth a manga or a book.
I'm saying, for example, you know.
Alright.
I mean, or a service like, hey, I'll work for you for a couple hours, you give me this book or DVD or such, you know. Mm-hmm. Or, hey, I can make you this homemade jar of preserves and you give me some firewood, you know, etc.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I think it could work. I'm an idealist, though. But anyway, as for anime of the ages, where do you think anime is headed in the next 50 or so years?
Let me think. You know, I can say that it'll look better, like the graphics. Is that fair term, graphics? Because like I feel like I'm going into video game mode.
I think it's kind of video game mode, but you know, I get you. I think it's animation, you mean.
Okay, the animation. The animation is going to get even better because we can tell, like, with each new anime that comes out, you know, the animation gets better and better and better and better. And, you know, they keep having, like, excellent music. Well, not everyone, unfortunately, but, we'll have, like, these gems, because nowadays, I still love anime, because there are these little gems, you know, sprinkled throughout all of the...
mass-produced media.
And I love watching them. Like, I'll still watch the other ones, you know, for the sake of entertainment, and maybe it'll give me a laugh. You know, maybe, like, some stories are actually kind of interesting, even though some of them are rushed, some of them they don't completely go into. But, there are some gems out there, and I feel like there are going to be more gems. And I feel like anime is going to keep going on strong. What do you think?
Personally, I mean, and this also circles back to a question I answered on one of the last episodes of where I see comic book publishers going in the next 50 years. It kind of circles back to that, where as I think we're going to see the next great hero, first of all, and the next great villain, and the next great story. But also, I think there's also a coming renaissance, and this pertains to every form of media, be it anime, video games, comic books, etc. I think there's a coming renaissance that everything old will be new again. Like, you can only go so far to a point where everything's new, then you're going to rely on other older forms of media. Like, I think we're going to see a lot of retro stuff. Like, and this pertains to media just in general, because if you've noticed, like, music videos and just songs in general and some other stuff that people have taken a retro look, like back from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, you know, they're making it popular again. I think there's going to be a lot of retro style, and it's just going to kind of cycle itself. It's like going to be old and then go back to new. But when it goes to old, it's going to be like high-tech old, you know what I mean? Kind of steampunk almost, you know, I'd like to say.
Like, you know? What they did with Sailor Moon?
Not as such. No,
Because I can say this from watching Sailor Moon Crystal. Like, they made the episodes a little bit different in that they made things more modern. Like, in the older series, you had things like VHS and cassette tapes, and now it's DVDs and
I think it's going to go back to VHS and cassette tapes. I think they're going to make a lot of old pop culture references. Like I said, everything old will be new again. We're going to see like a wave of retro, in my opinion, you know. So, for the next 50 years, like I said, we're going to see the great new hero, the great new story. And more than one hero, you know, more than one story. But, you know, it's going to take cues from, you know, the 20s through the 70s and 80s, you know. That's what I think, you know, personally.
Right.
And, you know, anime is a big part of pop culture, and, you know, I think it's a lot like the stock market almost. You're going to see a swift rise and a rapid decline, you know. There'll always be the loyal diehard fans, but I think it's going to grow in popularity, then it's going to wane off a bit to where you have only the few hardcore fans, and it'll keep steadying out, you know. You know, as a person who's been to Anime Expo and viewed a lot of crazy things a few times, it's just like, it seems to me it's kind of like the in thing almost. It's like, how do I say? It's like alternative rock almost. Like, basically, people who listen to alternative rock have their own clique and niche and group and such. And people pick up on that and they become alternative themselves. So, anime is like alternative music. You know, it attracts a certain niche of people, like a clique, and other people pick up on that and they want to join to be like alternative, quote unquote, because alternative is cool. So, you have the loyal hard fans, you know, and then you'll have the random people that just pick up on it and it grows as a thing. That's what I see. And that's what I've seen in Anime Expo. It's like, sure, a lot of people are into it, but you've got a lot of people who's just there for like, hey, I'm doing something new. Hey, this is kind of kooky. This is not like American culture, you know. And I think a new culture will pop up too. Just saying, I think a new pop culture will soon spring up. But anime, I think, is here to stay. Like I said, it's going to be a roller coaster. We might see a decline, we might see a rise, a little bit of both, but I think it's going to steady out. Because, like I said, in the 90s, anime was pretty much unknown. Now it's got a huge cult following, and it just attracts attention. And some of it's good, some of it's bad, you know. But all in all, I think anime's here to stay.
Yeah, I think so too. Anime rules.
Personally, I'd like to see a lot less people at Anime Expo.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do.
Yeah. And hopefully we can bring you some footage because we're going to AX.
Yep, 2015.
And we got premiere passes, which I paid out the butthole for.
And I'm going to have to edit that out so no one wants to strangle you and stop watching our channel.
Alright, folks, thank you for listening to us rant about anime. We'll bring you video games and comics and movies in future episodes. Thanks for sticking with us. If you like us, don't forget to like our page on Facebook, subscribe to us, hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr, leave us a note saying hey or ask us a question. We take all kinds of questions, anything from pet nutrition to the paranormal and beyond. So hit us up. Cheers.
Hey.